Hi, I'm Courtney Act, and welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Courtney Act, welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm in London. We've got some lovely overcast weather, which is providing us with a big soft box.
It's very true.
It's nice.
This is, you're experiencing summer weather in England and winter weather.
Yeah. Well, apparently summer's not for a couple of weeks, so I'm setting my clock.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining me in this hotel room today.
Thank you for having me. It's a little hashtag current climate, but we're just alone in a bedroom on a bed with a video camera.
Of course we are. This is one of many films we'll be filming today. So you've been up very early today. Have you been in England long this time? Are you sort of acclimatised a bit to the time difference?
Yeah, my jet lag's not too bad. I got here, I was doing the Brighton Fringe. What day are we on? Wednesday? Thursday?
Keeps changing.
It does.
Thursday.
So I guess I've been here for almost 3 weeks. Okay. So I've gotten acclimatised. I did a week at the Brighton Fringe and then my show in Cardiff on Monday night. And I woke up at 4:45 to do morning television.
Wow.
Though.
That's always good. That's more the time I'm sort of thinking about going to bed normally.
Oh, wow. You're a night owl?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm trying to change my habits because I normally 2 a.m. is normally like an early night. And then some nights I'll be like, oh shit, the sun's coming up, especially when I'm home because I'll just be like on my computer working, or if I'm traveling working, like sometimes the shows will be late at night. But when I was in Sydney just recently, I was going to bed at like 9:30.
Wow.
And waking up at 7:30, and I just felt like a productive member of society. So I've been going to bed at midnight, which is, I think that's a decent time of night to go to bed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're sort of travelling around a lot, it's good to sort of set yourself somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. And I mean, at least I'm travelling around the UK for the next few weeks. So even though I'm travelling, it's at least the same time zone.
It's very true.
There's only one time zone in the UK?
I think so. It's not in my house. It varies depending on how late I am.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So have you always wanted to get into entertainment? Were you an amazing singer when you were sort of a kid as well?
I was from the age of 5, I was running around the house singing and dancing, and my mum was like, do you want to go to singing and dancing lessons? And I was like, I don't know. And so we went along and I loved it. And yeah, from the age of 5, I think I started doing singing, dancing and acting lessons. And then it was funny because I was always a singer, dancer, actor, but then in 2003 when I was on Australian Idol, I wasn't as confident, certainly not as confident as a singer or as good as a singer. Not good as a singer, that makes me sound like I think I'm good. So you think you're good then?
You are good.
I'm a lot better than I used to be, but I went to see the Tina Turner musical last night.
Was it good?
Oh, the girl who is the lead is so stunning, and you sit there watching it, and it's just a biological fact that I will never sing like that, and I accept that, but it's just beautiful to watch, and part of me is like, oh, I wish. Yeah.
I kind of think that if I sing enough, some of the noises or tunes will be accidentally in tune just by, if I produce enough of them.
Yeah, by law of averages. Yeah.
Might not be the song I'm singing, but
But yeah, eventually you're bound to hit one.
Yeah, exactly. When did you first start sort of expressing this side of you as Courtney?
When I was 18. I mean, there was a few times in my childhood. I remember when Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, came out in the mid 90s, maybe it was 94. I was on this tour around southeast Queensland, and as part of the rap party, all of the performers put on a show for each other, and my friend Scott and I sort of got dressed up in the very early stages of drag, I suppose, and lip synced I don't care if the sun don't shine, I get my loving in the evening time. And so that was one instance, and I think it felt almost a bit, half kind of felt punk, and then half of it also felt quite normal. And also the Fame Agency, which was the singing, dancing, acting school I went to, it was kind of had that pantomime dame kind of vibe. So the lead, villain female was always played by a man in drag. Yeah. And so the idea of dressing up in drag, and I was dressing up as a mouse in Cinderella, or all sorts of different costumes. So the idea of performative gender, I suppose, didn't seem that peculiar. And even now, I was just saying to a friend the other day, I said, I'm going to the party dressed as a boy. And he was like, dressed as a boy? That's a weird thing to say. And I'm like, is it? I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm dressed as a boy or dressed as a girl. Like it's just kind of feels like, also like for clarity, I suppose. I wouldn't say going as some people would say, oh, you're going as yourself. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of all myself.
You're always you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't left the room.
No, I'm still here, regardless of how I'm dressed. Exactly. But yeah, I'd say then, and then like when I was 18, I officially sort of did Courtney for the first time, which was a New Year's Eve party in Melbourne. And got all dressed up, and it was just kind of, and it was fun and exciting and thrilling. And I've always loved performing and being on stage, but there was something kind of, I don't know, there seems like there's a lot more, I don't know, like being a man always seemed a bit boring. Like there just seemed like there was more opportunity as a performer. And initially it was sort of like a performance thing. There was just a lot more like Cher, Tina Turner, Kylie Minogue compared to like, I don't even know.
Yeah. What's the equivalent?
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, there's Jason Donovan.
Donovan, yeah, like, lovely, but, like, just shirt. And I already wore that. That's not exciting. So, yeah, there was something really fun about being able to wear sparkles and spangles and wigs and hair and makeup and stuff.
So you mentioned Australian Idol earlier on. So you actually auditioned twice, didn't you? Yeah. Was that ever the plan, or did you, after this sort of first audition, go, okay, I'm going to try this a different way?
It was always the plan, but then so there was producers auditions that happened first, and I got through as Shane and Courtney. And so the first day when I got through as Shane, I was like, oh, maybe I should not go back the next day as Courtney. Like, maybe this is my chance. Yeah. And then I was like, nah, like Courtney had so much extra flavor and color, and it's just more fun. And then as it turns out, on the TV auditions, I got sent home as Shane and then made it through as Courtney, and that's when they found out that I was there twice. Yeah. So I'm glad that I did, but it's kind of one of those sliding doors moments where I was like, maybe I shouldn't, like, because I still had a lot of shame, I think, about I don't know. I don't think I would have called it expressing my gender back then, because I had it quite compartmentalized, and it was like a costume or a uniform. But there was a lot of shame associated with that, and so yeah, it was something that I thought, oh, maybe I should just keep this as my little secret and not, show it to the world. But I'm so glad that I did, because it was fascinating that those things that, whatever it is, I think whatever brings you shame or whatever other people say you shouldn't do, I think that's a reason you should do them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then when you do and you're on the other side, you've learnt something about yourself, and you kind of are liberated from the shame or from the guilt or whatever it is. So
I think you should always be yourself and not someone else's version of you.
Completely. Like, we constantly try and live up to other people's expectations of everything. Oh, even if we don't try, we have no choice but to be bombarded with expectations, whether it be race or gender or sexuality or, beauty standards or what to eat or whether you should smoke or not, or whatever it is. There's just so many like things being bombarding us constantly. So I think that the best thing that I have learned constant through my life is do what you want to do, and that's always going to be a much better choice for you than whatever somebody else thinks.
Absolutely, and it's a lot more authentic too.
Yeah, completely.
You are, of course, naturally beautiful, but what is your makeup routine? Is it just a bit of lip balm? Have you got any tips for us all?
Well, you're sitting pretty close, so you can probably see there's a lot more than lip balm going on right now.
Light mascara.
Beauty tips. I mean, I think as far as like grooming and presentation, I remember being in high school, and we were coming up to a high school formal, which, do you call it a prom here?
Yeah. Prom, yeah. Coming
up to the prom. And I just remember having this moment where I was looking around at the girls in the class, and I thought, I don't think that looking beautiful should necessarily be an objective. But when you're going to a prom, obviously everyone wants to get dressed up. They're getting their hair done, they're getting their makeup. And I just remember being like, oh, every girl in this class is beautiful. Like, there's something there was something beautiful about them, and there was something that really, I don't know, I guess I hadn't noticed before, and I was like, oh, I could sort of picture them all on prom day, and it was kind of fun to see everybody doing that. But I think that like drinking water is probably the number one beauty secret, like drinking 8 glasses of water a day, and the other one is exfoliating. They're my two big ones.
Hydrate, get rid of the dead skin.
Yeah, exactly. Have a nice clean, I don't know, nice clean visage. Oh, that gives me PTSD.
Nice clean Michelle.
Yeah. Nice clean face.
Exactly. Which brings me very nicely on to, so after being on Australian Idol, you then appeared in America on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
How did you end up on that show?
I moved to LA in 2010, and when I first got there, I was determined. Bright lights, big city. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make it, and I went to like all of these like networks and meetings and production companies, and I was like, wow, LA is amazing. And then you kind of realize there's a lot of potential in LA, but it's not always actualized. Right. And so after a while, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to work. I went over with savings and kind of plodded away, and then sort of burnt through those, and then started just working like hosting karaoke on a Monday night or club hosting and stuff like that. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to audition for Drag Race. So I put in a tape, and they said that my visa wasn't valid. Oh, no. I mean, my visa was valid to work, but not for there's like union laws and things.
Special Drag Race visa.
Yeah, special Drag Race visa. And then the next year they asked me to put in a tape again, and I was like, you already said my visa wasn't valid. It's a lot of work putting that tape together. And they were like, just put the tape in. We've changed the rules. And I was like, oh, well, that's a good sign. And then got on the show, and it was like such a fun time filming it. It was getting to hang out with all the girls, I think, was the most special part. Making friends in Adore and Bianca and Darian and everybody else, Ben and Milk and Gia and everyone.
The others.
Oh, shade.
So what was the atmosphere like sort of on set when you're making the show? Because I imagine that, they're very competitive people.
Yeah, our year it didn't feel like anybody wanted to win at the cost of someone else losing. Like, everyone was very supportive, and from the get-go, Bianca, Adore, Darian and I sort of formed a strong friendship, and it's been wonderful after the show to have that as well as a support network. And because we were such good friends, anytime someone got an opportunity that would be easy to be jealous of, we were actually happy for each other, which was really nice. But yeah, there was drama. Like, Laganja was probably the biggest drama of the season. But it wasn't, I don't know, it felt different to us, I suppose. It didn't feel as like bitchy or catty or competitive. It was, and I remember even at the end we were like, oh god, this is gonna be so boring. Like, everyone's just very happy and getting along and friends, but they have ways in the editing room of making you talk.
It was a great show anyway.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.
So then after that, you'd been on Australian Idol, you'd been on RuPaul's Drag Race, and then
off to the next continent.
Off to the next continent. I'm very much looking forward to your Asian one and your African one as well, by the way, to get the whole
Antarctica.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one.
It will be good.
Cold.
Exactly. Looking forward to it. So then you graced us with your presence in the UK and ended up on Celebrity Big Brother. How did that come about? Had you seen the show before? Did you sort of know what to expect? I'd
seen Big Brother in Australia, and I'd seen Celebrity Big Brother in Australia. And I'd seen highlights of Celebrity Big Brother on YouTube and stuff. I was on an MTV show last summer called Single AF in the UK and around. Like, when you're reading, you're like, wow, 72 countries around the world, I'm going to be but no, people have to watch it for that to happen, for you to get known, which I don't think happened with Single AF. But then I think off that, I don't know, they called me up and asked me to be on Celebrity Big Brother, and I was just like, so cool. And I remember considering not doing it because I felt like reality television, like Drag Race was a really fun opportunity, but like you are giving your identity over to somebody else's power, and that's really kind of scary to do. And Big Brother is huge, and so it was really scary. And it wasn't until even when I won, I came out and I was like, did I win for the right reasons? Like, do people love me? Do people hate me? Like, what's going on? And I watched it all back, and I was overwhelmed. It felt so validating to be seen the way that I was seen, and I felt that it was like just so, I couldn't have asked for a better.
Absolutely, yeah. You're definitely. I mean, I've not watched every season, but I usually would dip in and out based on who's on there, and it's one of the first for quite a few years I've watched every episode.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea about who was going to be in the house before you went in, so you could do a bit of research?
Only the women, because the women went in first.
Yes.
It was funny because when they told me that, I was like, I'm going in as Courtney, but with the men, and I was like, oh, and then it was like very binary. It was like men and women, and I was like, oh, well, I don't know how do I and in the end I was like, I'm glad that I kind of went with it. It was fun. But so I really only researched Anne Widdecombe because it was the day before I think we found out, and so I quickly read as much as I could. I didn't read enough, and perhaps that was a good thing. I mean, I guess I won, but now that I've been out and I've found out more about her politics, I've been really just surprised. And
for anyone that doesn't know, Anne Widdecombe voted for a lot of anti-LGBTQ legislation throughout the years consistently.
In 23 years, she voted against every single piece of pro-LGBT legislation that came before her, as well as her being, anti-abortion. She's pro-capital punishment. She denies climate change. She thinks that she just has very conservative views, which I do not. And yes, something like Section 28, which was a piece of legislation passed 30 years ago, which forbade the promotion of LGBT issues in schools, and it was only repealed in 2003, I think it was. And at that time, Anne voted to keep it. She wanted to keep, and then I heard her on actually The Right Stuff say, well, it's about the promotion. And I'm like, no, you don't get to play semantics. You know exactly what you were voting for. And she always has, as politicians do, always have an argument that suits them.
Yeah. And
I'm like, you were voting, you want, if you truly believe that it was about the there's promotion of heterosexual themes constantly in life, and she was sort of, I think, saying like the word promotion, and I probably should look more into this, but what she said on The Right Stuff, it was the word promotion was the problematic word, and I'm like, well, that's, exactly what you were voting against, and that was the equality of LGBT people, which I obviously can't agree with.
Absolutely. And so you were fantastic in the show. You sort of beautifully articulated all of these issues, and you're patient and all those kind of things, and you came across really well.
Thanks. It was I don't know, it was genuinely so validating. Like after Drag Race, where I don't think I came across very well, especially at times, like for me, I had the same feeling while I was doing Drag Race as I had when I was doing Big Brother. I was like, oh, this is really great. Like, it's really positive. We're all having a great time. And then to watch it back, I was just like, oh no, what happened? And so I had a bit of PTSD from Drag Race. So going into Big Brother, I was just like, oh no, what's going to happen? And to even like, from what I understand of Big Brother being usually, the fact that they aired the conversations that, I had with the boys about the difference between trans identity and a drag performer, and the conversations I had with India about, her drag phobia, I suppose, and her views on gender fluid people, or, transsexual and transgender women, and like all of the gender politics. It was just like, I was so grateful, honored, happy that actually made the cut, because
because you rarely see those discussions in in a sort of fair light on UK TV. It's very often against, in fact.
Especially, I would say, not on Channel 5. Like maybe Channel 4, you would see more depth covered, but Channel 5.
Less so at the moment, I would point out.
Oh, Genderquake.
Yep.
Yeah, that was I think like Channel 5 is known, and I don't poo-poo the content. Like, it is what it is. Like, we've got different spaces for different things, but I just loved that Big Brother got back to kind of that social experiment route, which was really cool.
Absolutely. It's great to think how many sort of people helped educate and sort of open their eyes a bit, and just create the conversations.
Yeah, I feel most honoured about having that opportunity, and now coming out of the house, people being interested in what I have to say, instead of just being like, oh, a drag queen kind of thing. It's just like being on like the right stuff this morning, like a politics news panel show, and being able to voice my opinions and have discussions and debates with people. It's just like, it feels validating as a human being.
Absolutely. And I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.
So, Courtney, you're currently on tour. Tell us about it. Where can we see you? What will the show be? What can we expect?
Yes, I'm doing my tour Under the Covers. It is in, I don't know when this is going up, but
today, whenever, tomorrow.
Cool. Well, it's in Glasgow on Sunday, London, Manchester, Birmingham, Cardiff, Belfast, Dublin, and Edinburgh Fringe. And it depends on where you see it. It's anywhere between 60 minutes and 75 minutes. Depends on how much you laugh. Lots of fabulous costumes and famous covered songs. But I'm not just going underneath your favourite covered songs. We're also going under the covers of music and of life.
Very exciting. I hopefully will get a chance to see that.
Whereabouts?
I'd love to.
Where's closest to you?
Anywhere, London-ish, yeah.
We've been to Brighton. I feel like everywhere else is north. What cities?
Sounds like we're going north.
Yeah. Well, there's London. London's...
Yeah, London work.
Yeah.
So, finally, have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell show, and of course your fans around the world?
Messages. Wow. Where do I start? I don't know. Messages. I just think, I think I said earlier, when I was younger, I realized that thing that felt shameful to me because other people made me feel that way, I think that feeling of shame is quite often a message for your brain to... It's like a little flag saying, look at me, because I don't think shame is like a natural human quality. It's something that people impose on us. So when you're feeling shame, it's because what someone else is telling you is in dissonance with who you are. And it's scary, but if you shine a light on that, sometimes it can become your greatest strength.
Absolutely, very well said. Well, Courtney Act, thank you so much for coming on my show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everyone at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give the video a big thumbs up. And I'll see you all again soon for another episode of the Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.
Bye.